Sahil, can you confirm me if we are live now?
Yeah, we are live, right?
Yeah, we are live. We are live.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you all to the second day of the webinar conducted by the Postgraduate and Research Department of Commerce under St. Xavier's College Autonomous, Kolkata, with collaboration with the Internal Quality Assurance Cell. We shall be waiting a minute or two for all the participants to join in. So I would humbly ask you to be patient meanwhile. I would also take this opportunity to thank all participants yesterday for raising questions. It has been a very interactive session. So kindly do the same. Keep your questions in the chat box. We'll be discussing those during the Q&A session. And also kindly keep an eye in the chat box for the feedback link. It is compulsory to submit the feedback link so as to get the e-certificate. Also, if you have any queries, please feel free to contact us via the numbers that have been given to you. A little briefing about yesterday's session. We had with us Dr. Raj Agarwal from New Delhi and Dr. Deb from Dhaka, each of whom had given us a very enriching session, and it was quite informative regarding the online education and tourism business in a post-COVID-19 world. For today's speakers, we have Dr. Monomita Nandi and Dr. Anupam Ghosh. The participants are joining in.
Okay, thanks, Devangana.
Okay. And I'll
very
request
good evening.
Dr. Shumanta Dotto to commence the webinar now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Devangana. A very good evening to all my respected resource persons present today and my respected Vice Principal from Commerce Evening, Commerce Morning, Dean, Postgraduate and Research Department of Commerce, IQC Cell member, Dr. Parthapratim Ghosh, Member Secretary and all faculty members and dear participants. We have completed our day one webinar successfully, both the session 1 and 2. Now today, our two eminent speakers for both the session enlightened us with their thought-provoking issues regarding two emerging topics. One session, the first session by Dr. Monomita Nandi, Reader in Accounting and Finance, Brunel Business School, Brunel University, London, on the sustainable business during COVID-19 recovery. Okay, and the second session too will look after by Dr. Anupam Ghosh, Assistant Professor, BIT Meshra, Ranchi, Jharkhand, on the burning issue, socio-economic intervention and business strategies in post-COVID-19 era. Within a very small way, I'm enlightening you the entire process of conducting this today's webinar, the second day, day 2, 19 July 2020. We will start initiating the welcome to the participant by our own and very respected Dean, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Basu, a postgraduate and research department of commerce in Xavier's College Autonomous, Kolkata. Followed by, after 3 minutes of his welcome address to the participants, we will request Shodo, one of our students from postgraduate department, to give a brief about Dr. Monomita Nandi, Reader in Accounting Finance, Brunel Business School. And after that, after 45-minute session of Dr. Nandi, we have a 15-minute session of a question answer, where the participant can raise their question through the different mode. Now, after that, we have from 5 p.m., we have a session which will be introduced by Anurag, our final year students from postgraduate department. He will introduce Dr. Ghosh, Dr. Anupam Ghosh from BIT Meshra. And then we have again 45-minute session, or that is session 2, followed by 15-minute session for question and answer. At the end, and that is at 6 p.m., we have a vote of thanks from our very own respected Reverend Father Peter Arokian SG. our vice principal, Common. So this is the entire session is all about. Now I'm requesting our own very respected Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Basu, Dean, as well as organizing secretary of this session, to give a welcome to the participants. Sir.
Good afternoon. On behalf of Postgraduate and Research Department of Commerce, St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, I'll welcome you all in the second day of this international level webinar on managing business in a post-COVID-19 world, changes, challenges, and strategies. Yesterday, we had two speakers, Dr. Raj Agarwal from India and Dr. Santosh Kumar Dev from Dhaka, Bangladesh. Today, we have two more speakers, Dr. Monomita Nandi from London, UK, and Dr. Anupam Ghosh from BIT Mesra, Ranchi. All the speakers talked or will talk on different positive and negative impact on business in these pandemic situations. I would like to say something positive about COVID-19 pandemic. This pandemic has proved to be a game changer for the majority of us. It has changed the way we behave and perceive things. Many of our habits have changed. We are experiencing a new world altogether. These unexpected and adverse shifts in habits and mindset have impacted the economies heavily. Many have taken a bad hit. But in some cases, the results are exponentially positive. So the adaptability and creative decision-making will play a key role in the sustainability of the enterprise. I'm referring 5 subsectors which will observe new trends shaping up the businesses. Number 1, workspace industry. Number 2, education sector. Number 3, entertainment industry. Number 4, hospitality sector. And number 5, self-care industry. In fact, I can say that we have been forced to adopt digitalization in our everyday life. These new habits have created new business opportunities, but at the cost of huge economic losses. Enterprises have to adopt new normal and smartly diverse their operations. In these adverse times, the role of decision makers to implement smart and sustainable business models is very important. Workers also need to be aware of changing scenarios and adopt new skills or upskills themselves to a great extent. Therefore, change is the only constant. Adopting it wisely is in our hand. Again, welcome participants. I now request our PG student, Shaurya Chakraborty, to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Monomita Nandi.
Thank you, sir, for your kind, insightful, and motivational words. Without further delay, I will be introducing today's first speaker. We have with us today Dr. Monomita Nandi. Dr. Monomita Nandi is a reader in accounting and finance in Brunel Business School, London. She completed her PhD in Calcutta University, India, and the University of Rome, Tor Vergata, Italy. She has worked as a visiting research fellow at Lally Business School, New York, and Redbound University, Holland. Before joining the Brunel University, she taught at different universities in India and the Surrey University in the UK, where she got awarded for her innovative and technology-led teaching. She is interested in interdisciplinary research and technological advancement in emerging issues in corporate finance and banking. Her research works are published in international peer-reviewed journals like IJFE, EIJ, etc. She is involved in editorial and review activities in international journals and regularly presented her work in leading conferences. She is the co-chair of the Southeast Group of British Accounting and Finance Association and acts as an expert in PMI of the European Accounting Association. Her research attracted external funding and her collaboration with business allowed the firms to take progressive strategic decisions. Dr. Nandi will be speaking on sustainable business during COVID-19 recovery. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us today evening. Without further delay, I will be handing it over to you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Saurya. Okay, good morning, everyone, and good evening, everyone from India. So I'm very happy and pleased to get an invitation from St. Xavier's College and in Kolkata. And I'm very happy and thankful to God that I got so many good friends around the world who are very keen to find out solutions to how to deal with recent crisis and how we can then make changes in our society for a better life. And good evening to Father, and good evening to all my friends, and especially very big thanks to Shumanto, who is my classmate, and he took the initiative to invite me for the talk and sharing. And it's really nice to be with friends on the same platform. And thank you to all the students and all the participants, and also Dean Sir, who kindly introduce and talk about the main issue. So though I've been asked to talk about recent challenges, what strategies the business could take, let me start sharing my slides. And hopefully you all can see my slides, right? Can you see the slides?
No, ma'am, your slides are not visible.
Okay, give me 1 second. Can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, that's great. So yeah, let me make it here. So this is all about sustainable business, and I knew that many of you are thinking what's new, because we heard so many webinars happening around the world about how to talk about how to find a sustainable business model, what are the problems. So as Dr. Basu was saying, that I'm not going to talk about what are the main challenges or what are the normal general challenges around the world. I will talk specifically about India and what kind of challenges Indian businesses are facing these days, and how we can get rid of those problems very easily. And if we all work together, and especially my interest is to see that how we, the researchers, we, the people from academia, can contribute towards this development or recovery during this difficult time. Now, you can understand that why I'm showing this picture. So before I go further detail, I would like to say all the pictures that I have taken is from internet and from reliable sources, and these pictures are only from internet. So before we talk about how to develop Indian business, we need to really understand what others did and how they developed over time. So one economic power is definitely, this is the problem, I can't even escape. Give me 1 second. I knew that there is a problem. If I, sorry for that. I will not go in the presentation mode. So what are the issues with the existing business power, how they develop so much, and what are those problems? So definitely I will start with China. So in 1970, you can see that there was a shift to capitalism in China, and they started establishing many factories around the country. So they were more focused on manufacturing sector, and they understood, I'm not saying whether that is right or wrong, or India should follow the same methods, but the thing is how they managed to come to today's world. Then when they understood that if they can manufacture a lot, they can start doing a big amount of trade with other countries. So there was a complete shift to capitalism in China. Then in 1980s, they started understanding that producing more products for the people in the country is not enough, so they need to open to foreign manufacturers, and to do that they have to give cheap price, and they have to revise their rules and regulations to make it easier for the foreign companies to come in, foreign manufacturers to come in and do trade with China. And it kept on going. They made several changes, and they started, I think from 1990s they started inviting foreign investors, and in I think in 2002 or 2005 they invited the foreign direct investment in their country. So there were lots of changes happening in China, and as a result we can see that in 2020 that this agricultural based country became a manufacturing hub. So there were so many people involved in manufacturing sector, and you can see the tall buildings, and everywhere you will get a feel that they are very good in manufacturing things. And that's why what we started observing, that around the world, everywhere you go, you will find Chinese product. So not only the rules and regulations, but heavy manufacturing was another reason that they were dominating almost all around the world. And so we can see an increase in the yearly wages in China. So in 1990s, when it was $150 per year, we can see it increased up to 13,500 on an average, $13,500 in 2020. So it is a kind of 8,500% increase in yearly wage in China. So it is a massive increase, massive. So the main problem associated with this is all the products that Chinese market became very expensive for the foreign investors or the people who were trying to focus more on China. So then the other problem started coming in, that US import tariffs was another main reason that we can see there were less trade and there were more domestic products in US. And because US was one of the main partner of China in the trade. So these type of things started creating lots of changes in the Chinese economy. And then came in the geopolitical risk and the pandemic. So as a result of this geopolitical risk, lots of trade restrictions, and because of coronavirus, what we can see that in most of the developed markets, there were no products on shelf in many countries during the pandemic. And these were mainly coming from China. So as China was affected before other developed markets, so they were reducing their production. So we can see that there were lots of problems in the developed markets. And even China is one of the leading producer of drugs, medical drugs, and those productions or the raw materials for the drugs were restricted, and so there were less medical products in different countries, and because there were lack of ingredients for those drugs. So so when we can see a country like China, who was developing year after year, suddenly it went in a different direction, and it didn't happen in one day, it happened over time. So when we think about developing or competing with other developed traders, so we have to understand how the other countries developed and what type of problems they faced and how they overcome those problems, or the problems which they cannot overcome at all and they suffered in the market. So we have to think different dimensions to develop in business, and here comes a big role of researchers who can develop lots of good ways of tackling these problems. So then there was a change, like the change in the attention of the world traders. They were trying to move from one country to other, and one of the main attractive place after China was Mexico. And why? So most of us see that we still get the cheap labor, and the material costs were lower than other developed markets, and there were lots of natural resources in those countries which they can the manufacturer can use for different purposes. And the other countries that were doing really well, that the economic power was shifting towards Vietnam because they were cheaper manufacturer, and we can still see that the GDP is around $3,000, but still it's termed as middle economic country. Why? I'm coming to that point when I'm discussing about India. Then Mexico is more than half of the corporates were trying to move to Mexico for manufacturing, and then comes India. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of focusing more on India? Then we got around 1.3 billion people, so we have a huge workforce there, and more than half of our people work in agriculture. But still we have more than half of our population is above around 35 years old. So we got a huge workforce in India, so people can work in different sectors, and still we are having very low cost of labor. So if we compare with China, then when a person is getting $28 per day in China, in India the same person would get $5 per day. So we are still giving our labor cost is still lower than China or other countries. Then, but there are certain problems. The first one is lack of infrastructure. Though I knew that the CII invested a huge, Indian government invested a huge amount of money, and on the CII we can see that trillions of dollars will be invested in India in infrastructure by 2025, and they fixed the target, but still there is a lack of infrastructure facilities in India, and a high protectionist view in India. Like we try to protect our own things before we go to international markets. So sometimes that is not that good. In some countries I knew that they keep the good products for them, but then they are capable of producing the similar products and sharing with other countries, so which India is not too good in this point. So they prefer to produce more goods, but then they think that we have too many people in the country, so let's use these products for our own people. That's not at all a bad idea, but then you have to make a proper balance between how much you will give to the local people and how much you will put it on trade for other people in other countries. Then geopolitical influence is always there, and we are located in a good place, and we have lots of trade facilities, but still there are lots of restrictions on borders, and there are some trade restrictions which is creating lots of problem. And then impact of Soviet Russian policies. India followed the communist methods for a long time, and as you have seen that how Soviet Russia was trying to avoid the communism at one point, and they were having small countries who are now independent, who are doing their own work. So to some extent I can say the communism mechanism in trade, I'm not saying in general about the politics, but in trade it didn't work very well. And then at one point India took a bailout from IMF, and today we can see in today's news I saw that Libya is going through the same state. And so IMF bailout is at one point the products were very costly because of the bailout mechanism, so it took long time for Indian economy to recover from all those points. But we got other advantages, that we are the second largest English speaking country. So we can, and to be honest, that still now in world business environment, we can see English is one of the major languages. So we can take advantage of that, and that we are expecting that in 2020, we expected that the GDP will to be $2,100, and we are mainly based on service industry. You can see so many call centers around India who are serving around the world day and night. And we are second largest mobile phone manufacturer. So we have those capacities. Why I'm trying to say all those things, the good and the bad in a mixed manner, because we got lots of good things around the world where we can try to expand more on our existing stuff, and we can help the economy to grow very quickly. And not only that, we can help the other countries to recover, and we can prosper in trade. So these are though the economic power is shifting, but India is still not in that position to dominate the whole world. That's completely my personal understanding from the research or from the information we got around us. So we have good leaders. We should be very proud of those big leaders who are doing really well around the world, and they are bringing in lots of good opportunities for India too, and they are working day and night to make India the prominent leader in the world business forums. So what are those business opportunities? We have lots of good opportunities in healthcare sector and education sector, because if you see our medical facilities, we have good doctors who are working in different other countries, and we are very good in alternative medicines, or India is very promising in finding out other the raw materials of drugs. So and in research and development also, we are quite ahead of many other countries. So being a developing country and but doing so good in healthcare is really a good point for us, and that could be one of the reasons that compared to other countries, that the effect of the death rate from coronavirus is quite lower in India compared to other developing markets. And though it's not looking great now, but still there are so many people who are recovering from the bad effects of coronavirus. And the other sector where we need loads of things to do is the education sector. And yesterday when I was listening to Mr. Agarwal. I found that they are doing great jobs that bringing in lots of changes in the education sector. And yes, there were questions around that many people around the country doesn't have good internet connection. They don't have the computers, how to do online studies and other things. I agree that it's common everywhere. Even in developed markets, they got the same problem. But on the other hand, if we think at very small level, like at unit level, how we can develop the educational system at our own level, then from there we train other people, and those people train another loads of people, and they are going to the rural area and helping the people maintaining the social distancing and other regulations. That would be really good. And then we are quite advanced in technology, so we have to find that how we can use this recent AI related technologies and AI blockchains or this type of technologies in every sector, and then how we can do business out of it, and how we can start developing the society at the same time. And then we have to do lots of changes in supply chain, and we have to make it quick, reliable, durable, and this type of things should come in the supply chain business opportunities. Supply chain, like if okay, I will come to that point later on. Then the manufacturing is one of the major industry or business where Indians could do a lot. Indian business could do really a lot in the manufacturing. And I was looking through some details that when IMF was predicting the GDP will shrink around 4.5 to 9%, whereas in the world economy, they are predicting that it will shrink up to 4.9%. So when the world economy is going down to 4.9%, hopefully it will not happen, but if it happens, then if it is going to 4.9% and India is still going down to 4.5%, we are still in a better position. Now, how manufacturing could do better, especially the automobile industry, that we were looking a high growth for a certain time. Then from 2019, we started observing a downturn in the automotive and mobility sector. The then when they were doing the year by year forecast, they were showing that it will go in a very bad direction because we were not doing that good in rentals, then sharing and other good plannings in these sectors. So if we can do lots of good thinking around the manufacturing sector, especially electronic vehicles, and then how we can start trading on different parts of vehicles. And because of coronavirus, I can see good prospect around this area, because people might not be willing to share their like go in sharing transportation, so they might be interested in two-wheelers or three-wheelers, though it's not good for the pollution. But if we can go for electric vehicles and we can control the pollution, whereas we can also help the people to maintain the social distance, that would be a really good step forward. And I was reading one article by I think it was by EY or someone, and they were saying that in India, many workers who commute a lot to go from one place to other, they might be willing to buy two-wheelers or three-wheelers for themselves, and they might start sharing among like 2-3 people instead of going in a very crowded public transport. And in this way, the manufacturing sector, the automobile sector can again prosper a lot. And I strongly believe that this sector can do a lot for the development of the economy along with other sectors. And there are lots of hopes around the development of this sector. And then comes the service sector. Now, everything, the new normal, we all knew that is more on service. And the service sector could be highly benefited if they are doing loads of things around finding out new ways of doing it, or then sharing the products, and then doing something good for the whole society, and giving advanced services to the advanced markets. And then services can be linked with supply chain. And say, for example, these days Amazon is working with the local post office to for returning the products, and these type of things can be done easily through the service sector. And then comes the travel and tourism. Yes, I was listening to the professor from Dhaka yesterday, and travel and tourism, India got loads of things. And like people can go again and again for travel and tourism from abroad to India, and still they will think that, okay, I should come again for 10 days or 20 days. So if we could use the technology for travel and tourism, and I'm pretty sure we can do a lot on that area also. So there are loads of business opportunities. Now, what we the researchers can do, see, every business need lots of time to gather all this information. So if we can help them to provide all those information quickly, like identify the problem, then work closely with this business, and we the academic people can do a lot on that. And it's not only the MBA students can do it. Like at our university, we are working with the local business, and our objective is like is very high, that to help the local small businesses. And I was listening to Mr. Agarwal yesterday. He was focusing again and again on SMEs, and SME is really important because in most of the countries, more than 90% contribution is coming from SMEs. And SMEs might not need a very big setup. They can work from home in some occasions. I'm not saying in every occasion they can work from home, but then in that way, if we identify that which SMEs can work from home, and or a part of a business which can be done from home, then we can also maintain the social distance and bring the people in face-to-face activities, or where the physical presence is absolutely required. And that can balance with these health problems, and at the same time we can also keep on developing on our economic aspects. And I think here the researchers would play a very important role, where they have to work with the business to understand what is their exact need, what is their main problem. And you can involve your students at undergraduate level, postgraduate level. Everyone is doing kind of assignments or some kind of project, so you can link that project with the business project. And the business doesn't need to pay anything to the students most of the time. And once they are graduated, if they are bringing the students for the apprenticeship scheme, where we the researchers need to take the initiative, that we will write the report for the business, we will do lots of things for the business, like trying to identify, helping them to identify their problem, and helping them to provide a kind of solution after our research. And with their data, we can work on those things. And I think we the researchers can do a lot on this area, and then reduce the R&D cost of the business. And by doing this type of research, we are actually reducing the R&D cost, research and development cost of those businesses. And we can influence the SME's contribution. So if one SME, say a small company running with 10 people maximum, so if that company can recruit two of our students who are going to the job market next year, so they knew about the business world, they come to know about what are the problems the business are suffering these days. And that is helping both way. So the students are getting knowledge about the practical world, and the business is able to do their work, research work, with the help of the students. And in this way, we can increase the influence of SME. And if SMEs are doing really good, then I know that every government is doing providing some kind of help for the SMEs, and still it's not enough, and it is not possible for the government always to do everything. So we have to take the initiative. So what is the purpose of doing this type of seminars or workshops, where we have to come together to understand? See, if you find that, okay, around the Park Street area, if we need to develop the road condition, or need to help the sellers who used to put the fruits on the cart and they are selling beside the road, we can help them to understand how to do a sustainable business, and we can work with them, which will benefit them, which will benefit the students, and which will also enhance our knowledge. We should also take initiatives to develop innovation hub, and like colleges like St. Xavier's can do a great work around this. If I know some of the colleges and universities, they already got innovation hub, but we need to be very active. We need to bring in people, we need to learn from other people, and we need to create a space for experiments where people can do experiments to understand what type of things we can do for the business. And then we have to also do advanced skill training, like the way we are discussing now. If All India Institute of Management is working closely with any other colleges or university, then they can organize a 5 days training program, or the development program, where we can bring in business. They will train, they will say their problem, and we researchers, we academic people can come out with a solution. So it would be a completely brainstorming session, and this can happen in the innovation hub. And we need more and more of national and international collaboration, because as I said in the beginning, doing trade, or doing trade within the country, or manufacturing something only for the people of my own country is not enough. We have to see that how we can do more international collaboration that will help us to understand what are those requirements. And sometimes when we do research, we are asked to find out that how this research will be beneficial for local people as well as for international people. So we have to do research, this kind of research, which will bring in loads of foreign collaboration in trade and education, innovation everywhere. These are the sustainable goals. We all knew about the UN goals. And if you see carefully that out of the 17 points, you can apply all the points in almost everywhere, and they are quite linked with each other. So if you want to go with quality education, that will reduce poverty, that will help in climate actions, that will reduce gender inequality, and that will help us to do decent work and help in the economic growth, which will also help in industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So these things are really related with each other. So to understand about a sustainable business model, we really need to understand which area we have to focus. Yes, one business or one of us cannot focus on everything, but if we can bring in different approach, an interdisciplinary approach, where we can include all those things in our research, and that could help the business to understand where to focus, how to focus to attain the sustainable goals. And India also having this type of goals in front of them, so it is not for one particular country, it is for all. So if we can help the business to attain all those goals, at least not 100%, at least 50%, 60% to start with, then India could be one of the economic powers around the world. Because if I see that, okay, in this type of business in India, or say travel and tourism is really sustainable, they got a sustainable model, and they are able to reduce the climate adverse reaction to the climate, they are protecting the climate, means they can do a business for a long time. So if I'm an investor, I would be interested to invest in that particular business. So we really need to understand those goals properly. And so what we can expect out of those goals. So instead of saying we need to do this, I think we can really start working on that. And as we are mostly working from home these days, we can start take a baby step, and we can start now, and we can focus on one particular or two particular goals, sustainable goals, and we have to make a plan how we will attain that goal. If I'm in travel or tourism, or if I'm in service sector, I have to think what kind of changes I need to do. Do I need any support from researchers? If so, who can help me to give those information, who can guide me through these steps? And so we have to understand that which goals we want to attain, and to recover quickly from COVID-19 crisis, because all the big organizations, world organizations, are expecting that in 2021 we will start recovering. But the question is, who will recover first? And so if Indian business, we researchers around the world can work together to help each other to share those information and see that what kind of model we can start applying in short run. I'm not saying that thinking long run is bad, but the time is as this time is expecting from us a short term policies or short term model which will be sustainable in long run. So we have to identify a short-term model which would be sustainable in long run. And then we have to think locally. One of us cannot change the whole Indian scenario. And even if the prime minister is saying something, you cannot apply it everywhere in the same way. So we have to work at local level to understand to what extent we need to modify that to make it active. So when the president or prime minister is saying something, they have to see the whole country. So they are giving a guideline to us. Then it is our responsibility to understand how we will apply it locally. Say, for example, that we are told that we have to recycle things. Now, how you will recycle things? It depends locally, that if the local council or the state in India, if or the district, they got excess money, they can buy big recycle bins for every household. If they don't have that money, or if that needs longer time, they can develop other things. They can identify one specific place and ask people to go there and put their recycled things there. So there are different ways of doing it. So if we start doing all those things, we will start observing a better life very soon. And we don't need to wait until December or next year. We can start immediately, and we can start thinking about a better life. And if we start feeling like, okay, we are going towards a better life, we will be so happy that we will be very innovative, and we will start thinking how to do a sustainable business, why that business survived. So during this pandemic, we have seen that the businesses who were doing really good on sustainable issues, or who were taking care of the society to a great extent, they somehow survived. Like if you think about the big brands like Gucci and other, so they came forward to good mask and then gloves for the people in the society, and people started getting linked worked with those companies. So even after the crisis, when they are really in a hard time, people are eager to buy their products. So they are helping the business. I knew a couple of Indian restaurants, what they did when they literally stopped during the lockdown, they started packing food for the NHS staff, for the doctors and nurses and patients in the hospital. And they started doing lots of innovative things, like how to not touch the delivery, and how to use drones and other things to deliver products. And so now, after the lockdown started easing here, I found that people are quite associated with them. And now many people, once you go there, and they are feeling they are part of their business. That is really important. That if you think, okay, Amazon, Google, they are doing their business, I'm not part of that. We are very good in criticizing those business, but it's also very important for us to understand their difficulties. So we talk a lot about problems with Facebook, but if you think carefully, this Facebook gave us so many options these days to get connected with our people. And like, you are streaming now on YouTube, so there are lots of good materials, bad materials on YouTube, and we criticize that why they are not removing all those bad things. But then the other point is, the thing which you feel bad might be important for someone else. So I'm not saying that they should do all those things, they should play with our data protections and other laws, but we have to start feeling that we are part of those business, and then check in stakeholders behavior. So we are the stakeholders of this society, so we have to think how we will change our behavior to overcome all those challenges. And the businesses need to work really closely with the policymakers to make changes in their policies, like the way I was talking about China. So they made so many changes. So it should come from the business people that we need these changes to make our business easier. So if we, the stakeholders, don't show interest in those business, these businesses would not be motivated to go and talk to the policymakers to make certain changes and attract national and international investments. We have to advertise about our products. We have to go outside, and it is only possible if the small business collaborate with the big business, and the big business collaborate with the policymakers, and we, the researchers, plays an important role from the very beginning, because we are assisting the young generation to be in the business world in the coming days. So if the business are able to get good employees who are well trained, like in the AI area, there are so many job opportunities. People are talking, we need AI, and AI. That's fine. But how to apply that? To apply that, they need that knowledge. And we, the researchers, we, the academic people, can help the young generation to develop those skills. And that, so we have to understand from the business what they actually need. If that business is in, say, supply chain, what kind of AI they need, and can we do the same, can we train our children accordingly and the young people accordingly, so that they can do good job for the supply chain business. And I knew one company which is run by one eminent Indian person, and they developed an educational software which is quite engaging, and it is based on AI system completely, where if you think about Siri or Alexa, so when we use that type of system in education, and we can reach many students, we can keep the students engaged in education. So we have to understand, so if I think that we are in education business, we have to understand what the students need, what the business need, and why there is a gap, why we cannot produce good students with required skills. So we have to understand how we will give them required skills so that they can go. So when I'm saying I'm also doing the same thing in practice. So I'm not just saying that we have to do it. I'm saying that we can do it and we are doing it. So like I sent out an email a few days back, and within 3 days, I organized an event for the students who will start with us in October in their final year. And I discussed with them what are the business projects available for them to do as part of their assignment, and they accepted that concept because they think that okay, they are learning, they are not earning, but that is helping them to give them an opportunity to earn in future. So I will stop here because I feel like this is a very good quote from Amartya, that poverty is not just a lack of money. It is not having the capability to realize one's full potential as a human being. So we all we all have to understand that, or find a way to explore our potentiality and doing good things. We all are very good, we got loads of potentiality among us, but the point is sometimes we are not motivated. So this type of forum could help us, that to motivate each other and try to find out how well we can do in future, and in short run, at least during this time, how we can help each other to come out of the bad impacts of this coronavirus. And this is not the end. There might be more viruses, more pandemics, we never knew. So this is a good learning for us. We have to learn from this experience, and we have to see that if something goes wrong in future, this is the right time to develop a sustainable business model that will keep the economy moving, even if there is another pandemic. Hopefully there will be no more pandemic, but if there is something going wrong, or if there is any natural calamity, can we survive from those bad impact, and we can keep our economy moving, and we can live our own life nicely. So that's it from me. I will stop sharing here.
Okay. Thank you, Dr.
Very
Nandi,
much.
for sharing a thoughtful insight into this particular concept. And we receive an n number of good questions. It's very difficult for us to ask all the questions, all are relevant and thought-provoking questions. We have shorted out, and we try to focus on some of the questions. I'm putting this question in front of you so that you can throw some light. First question from the participant: is this crisis extraordinary or exceptional? How about the accounting aspects of this crisis?
Okay, nice question. So I would not say exceptional. Every crisis is a crisis. So this is definitely another crisis. And from accounting side, yes, when it was a financial crisis in 2008, people were saying that the auditors were not playing a good role. So they didn't see all the bad things the companies were doing. And I think still it's going on. So from accounting side, we have loads of things to do here, that when the company is not developing a sustainable model, we have to say, we the accountant can say that, see, this is not sustainable, so I'm not going to approve all your accounts. So you have to take a good step to develop a sustainable business. So we accountants should play an important role in helping the business or motivating the business to develop a sustainable business model for future.
Okay. Another question that we received is very interesting. The question is, after the lukewarm effect of the Make in India scheme, what is your opinion? Do you think that the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan be beneficial for India, the economic position as an exporter from the Indians' perspective?
Okay. Yeah, Atmanirbhar Bharatiya Abhiyan, and so I have gone through it. Yeah. And Make in India. Yes, that's a really good point. So that was the beginning of my talk, that before we go for those type of schemes, we have to understand where the other economies went well and where they went wrong. So if we can identify these areas, that are we having enough policy to support our international trade, and even if I'm producing the product only for my country, then which countries I should focus more to do international trade, and am I producing enough to save for my own people before I go for international trade? So I have to check the international policy. I have to check the way I'm doing. Am I able to introduce the new technologies, and am I able to provide the quality that the customers are asking for, or the clients are asking for? So there are different things, and we have to be very innovative to understand what the and to cope with the changing world. If we cannot cope with the changing world, we cannot survive in long run.
Okay. Another question, due to shortage of time, I put forward one question. Do you agree with the coinage of the new term, get it, globalization across the world during the post-COVID-19 era?
Yep. So before we start thinking about globalization, we have to know what we mean by globalization. So is it related to particular industries, or it is altogether? And when we are doing, say, online studying or online teaching, when we are providing that, am I able to give the students enough information about their economy? Or if I'm talking only about UK economy or UK business, that might not be interesting for the people sitting in India, because they might be thinking, let me first do the business in India and then I will start thinking about going abroad. So globalization is important, but that is also important for sharing knowledge. So we have to understand what the other countries are doing, and then I have to find out how I will be able to make my business globalized.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Nandi, for sharing this thoughtful insight in the session one. Now, it's a very enriching session from your end, as well as we have to get more thoughtful insight into this process. Now, I'm requesting Anurag Sharma, semester 4 student of Postgraduate Department of Commerce, to invite our next session speaker, Dr. Anupam Ghosh. Anurag.
Thank you, Shanta. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dr. Nandi.
If you have any further questions, so you can email me all the questions. I will be happy.
We will forward you all the question later on, okay, in your mail. So that once we receive any mail from your end, we will forward it to the participants through the WhatsApp. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we invite Anurag Sharma. Anurag?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, please.
Dr. Anupam Ghosh has received his PhD from IIT Kharagpur and has been doing in-depth research for the last 15 years in the domains of sustainable business, artificial intelligence, corporate social responsibility, to name a few. Apart from serving as an assistant professor for almost a decade in Department of Management at Birla Institute of Technology, Mesra, he is also a visiting faculty at IIM Ranchi. Recently, he has diversified his research in the domain of infectious disease management and has written and published extensively on COVID-19 management at international levels. In this global corona crisis, he is working on the convergence of society, business, and infectious diseases for better management and sustainability of the society at large. I would now request Dr. Anupam Ghosh to address the second session on socio-economic interventions and business strategic in post-COVID-19 area. Thank you.
Thank you, Anurag. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It has been a wonderful webinar by St. Xavier's College, and I would congratulate the fraternity. I would thank the principal, and I also would thank Father Joseph and Father Peters. It's like my coming back to home, because I've been also pass out of St. Patrick's School, Asansol. So it's like homecoming for me. And I'm very humbled and elated with the invitation by your college. And especially, I thank Dr. Sumanto Dotto for his invitation to me. Today, before I start with my presentation, I would mention few things which are very important and which are very pertinent. As you know that this COVID problem has been a big menace for the whole world, and we are suffering from it for the last 6-8 months, 10 months, and God knows when it will go away. And as the vaccine development is on its way, but as what science says, that it would take time to come, so we should not hurry into it. So in this whole scenario, vaccines are not there. In India, in China, in other third world countries, there's a huge population. People are there. Mostly are underdeveloped, less developed countries. And we have seen what has happened in the highly developed and developed nations. So the challenge and the context of this topic, of this webinar, is very pertinent. And as Indians, we should understand that what are the measures that we should take. We cannot eradicate it now. What we can do, we can manage it. So even WHO and other scientists have said, even our ICMR India has said, that we have to manage with this pandemic and this menace of a virus. So, as myself, as being a social scientist, my topic is basically on socio-economic interventions and business strategies in the post-COVID era. So, we have, as people of management and industry, as academics, basically, we have to understand that as a doctor catches the pulse of a patient, as a doctor tells you, or when a patient comes to the doctor tells that, okay, let me check your pulse, let me check your pressure, let me do a nice, a blood test. So to see our basic statistics of health. Similarly, in management, as management researchers, we check certain things of industry, economics, and management and strategies to check whether everything is working fine or not. So the question here in this COVID era is that how we can try to address the challenges, and what are the basic or the various kinds of interventions that we can take. I have written a research article with some of our esteemed faculties and one of my BTech students, and it's been published, that I'll discuss in this later half of my presentation. But before we go into this, I think all of you have seen in social media that there are various kinds of research papers which have cropped up, and they have made predictions. That's very good. It's published internationally. That's very good. But the point here is that how much practical it is. Like there was a recent paper, I think even in WhatsApp it has come, that the series of lockdowns which is there, and how the series of lockdown, 2 lockdowns, 3 lockdowns, 4 lockdowns, or total of a big 39 days or 49 days of lockdown, and how the curve comes down, the infection curve comes down. But did it happen? Definitely it was like a pause button, but things have taken its own toll. It is not about numbers. My question is, it's not about numbers. It is about the behavior of individuals, the behavior of society, the behavior of economics. if people are underfed, if there are migrant laborers around, how can you control with the lockdown? So these are basic questions which has to be addressed. And just giving a lockdown, to me, it's my opinion, it's my personal opinion, it's not the solution. And that's why Government of India is working so hard, and even all the state governments are working so hard to find a viable solution, which brings a kind of a result. Now, before we go into this whole discussion of COVID, when we go into management or economics, there are certain things which has to be taken care of. Like, is there scarcity? I would say definitely yes, but in not all sectors. Few sectors have been very hardly hit. So if there is a problem of scarcity, so here economics comes in, because economics basically deals with the problem of scarcity. So there is scarcity. Maybe the raw materials is not coming to the production houses. Maybe the production houses does not have the engineering team who can work for them. Maybe there is no supply chain route to the end clients. So there is a problem of scarcity. There's a problem of supply chain. I think my previous speaker, Dr. Nandi, has rightly said, I was hearing a speech, really wonderful speech. She talked about supply chain. I would come to it a bit later. But here I would also add something, I want to be very, very, very forthcoming and very candid, because the participants who are here, I will not go into technicalities, because there are, students, there are other subject students. I want to be very, 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 very easygoing. So, let's talk about economics. If there is a flow that we know, it's called a circular flow. So between a flow of money between the household and the business sector. So this flow is hurt. The flow of money is not coming. The services that I am giving, I'm not giving it properly. And the money that is coming to my house as salary or remuneration may not be complete. There are some people who are fortunate that they get the salaries, but there are many people in the at the lower downs, unorganized sector, or there are other companies which have stopped payment. Even well-known companies have stopped. I will not take the names. Well-known companies have told their employees to go back home and let them come back after things have gone. So it's kind of a termination. So the point is that there is a break in the circular flow, number one. There is a break in the supply chain, number two. There is a problem of scarcity, number three. There are changes in various concepts of marketing and management. When we study management and marketing and all those allied subjects, we have some basic foundation concepts which help us to gather information. So we have some tools. Price. Whatever you do now, price, you increase the price, you decrease the price. Will it matter now? I don't think. Because the problem is not about the price or the quality of the product. The problem is about whether the company can reach at the convenient place where I can buy. So that's place. So I want to click into that e-commerce site, maybe Flipkart or Amazon or Snapdeal, which does not tell me that, sir, I have come to this place, please come and collect from us. We want those people to come at home, but with the proper safety. So here another thing that I'll discuss now, that whatever you do, you talk about convenience, you talk about the role of the employees, especially the service employees, how they behave in case of the COVID crisis. Are they rude to you? Are they helping you to find a solution? Maybe at the point of purchase you are not there. So are they helping other people to come and help you out to get your product? So these are the questions which come. But for me, the basic question is about the concepts. Concepts have to be rethought. The concepts have to be, redesigned. Like, we have some basic concepts of my, why I'm talking about the basic, people would say, sir, why you're talking about the basic concepts, basic things? Because these basic things are hampered. These basic things are disturbed. These basic things are violated. I cannot construct my business. So I should have foundations. Foundation what? If I want to make a company which has a product concept, I want to go for a high quality product. How can I go now? This is a COVID era. And by the way, this will go for the next 4-5 years. So I would apply more R&D. I would use more money. The cost component increases. Now what should I do? How do I recover? Where is my revenue? So that route is very, very difficult now. I won't say it's not possible, but it's difficult. If I go for production, the mass production, FMCG companies, very good. But I need to know how to distribute that. I need to know where to go, whom to collect, whom to talk. That's the question. If I go for, marketing concept is very important here, because if I design it, I have to design the product not according only to the design, only the functionaries, but I have to design the product according to what I think the customer wants. Now the customer wants safety. Now the customer wants infection-free delivery man, an infection-free product package. Now the customer wants value for money with one angle towards the safety or the well-being of the customer himself or herself. Now we come to there are many concepts, the selling concept is there. But what sticks in my mind is basically the sustainability concept, which is, I think, Madam has already talked about, but I would add something, we have, those who are new to this concept, we have a triple bottom line, a planet, profit. Planet means the natural environment, profit means the profitability, and society means the people, employees, stakeholders. Now, if you are a sustainable company, then you have to balance the three bottom lines. But the problem here in this COVID problem is that there has to be a fourth pillar, a fourth bottom line. That bottom line is safety from diseases. You have to be the management of infectious diseases and management of your products, which does not bring more infection. You forget about corona. You think about the basic hygiene. If your company is not hygienic enough, I will, as a customer, I will not call that person. There are stores which are open. You go to Tanisk, you go to any other thing. If you go to Habib's, they have their shops open. They are, even it's happening to you also. Maybe they're calling you, sir, our restaurant is open. Sir, our salon is open. So please come here. We are very skeptical in going into those places. Why? Because there's a sense of fear. How can you give us confidence? So the question has diverted. The question has really brought the thinkers, the scientists, the social scientists, even the common people to help and gather. I will not go there. Even the new ads are coming. The ads have changed. Advertisements have changed. You talk about urban company, you talk about Asian Paints, they're showing in the TV that, you know, you can come, we are coming, we are well dressed, and we have all the things. So the advertising companies have understood this. Now, I would congratulate the advertisement company. They've understood this because they know what the customer wants. That's the basic learning of any management student or any management fraternity or anybody in the industry. Okay. Now, there's one more thing that's very important, is that your product life cycle gets disrupted. You may be you are in the introduction phase or any other phase. Suddenly, this corona has disrupted your PLC because you don't know where and what's coming. You don't know. There are many points of uncertainty which are there and which is very difficult to understand and gather. So these are the points, and I will start my presentation. So this is a very short presentation, but something is very important. Hello, Anurag. I want to share my screen. What to do?
So I've given you the hosting rights. At the bottom, you'll find a button called Share Screen.
Okay. Now yeah. Okay. I got it. Thanks so much. Can you see it now? Hello,
Yes.
Anurag?
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
it is visible.
Yeah, thank you so much. So here is the topic, and let's start with this. So we are talking about socio-economic interventions and business strategies in the post-COVID era. Even I would say that, no, why post-COVID? You know, we are into COVID now. So, you know, COVID has already happened. So, you know, what we'll do now and what we should do after COVID, because I am of the belief that we were totally caught unprepared this time due to COVID. No matter what happens, there can be other viral attacks which are more deadlier. So, you know, you have like the first world countries, I would not name them. They have stockpiles of nuke in thousands, but they were caught red-handed and caught, you know, nowhere when a virus comes and hits them. So that's a blunder. Like, so there can be other attacks of various deadly and lethal viruses we should be prepared to. So this is the first slide. So I would, I have prepared my slide into maybe two stories. Stories. First story is about the economic challenges that I said just now, and the second story is how we intervene and what are the interventions that are there. In the economic challenges section, I'll talk about the various statistical data that is available, which is even easily available across the web. I'll talk about the reports of important companies and agencies and how and of one of our most respected management gurus in India is a Padma Shri. So that I'll talk about. And in the intervention part, I'll talk about how we can think about a viable solution that can come in. And also the intervention part will also have the research paper that we have done recently. So let's start with this. So let's start with some data. So these are the data which talks about, which is, I picked up randomly just to make you all understand that what is the scenario now. So, according to the growth rate, we were doing very badly before the COVID came. Our growth was quite not to the normal. We were going through a slowdown before the pandemic came, and the unemployment level was also quite alarming. So the data is there. So, just to go through it. So these are the things which were there and is happening now from the economic side, maybe through the microeconomic or the macroeconomic sides which is happening. So during the lockdown, there are estimatedly so many people who have lost their job. The question here is not about the jobs. The question here is basically about the migrant laborers. Like, we are doing our job, we are employed now. Okay, but God knows what will happen in the next maybe 6 months. We don't know. So those who are more vulnerable, they are going into deep trouble. So, you don't think that this wave, this tsunami of unemployment will not reach you. It can reach us anytime. And this is also a kind of a warning that the world is going to see a very bad kind of a future that we were not prepared with anytime. Okay. So they have talked about supply chains. So supply chains have been hampered across the world. So, a large percentage of businesses in the country are under threat. Why? Because you lock down various states and you stop the flow of the goods, and there's a problem created. So why do you lock down? There was no other option of government of India to think of anything in a country like India to go for. We are quite aware, and we should not be ashamed to agree that we do not have that medical infrastructure that any first world country has. We do not have. So what we have our ethos, we have our ethics to control our behavior. So that's the main crux of the, I would think whatever Prime Minister Modi is doing, he is hitting upon the conscience. Just keep in, whenever he comes, and I would call him one of the greatest strategists, because Philip Kotler has given the prize of the biggest marketing man. As a marketing person, I would say that whenever he comes, he talks to you, you see it is the strategy, because he is well aware. He thinks about Atmanirbhar, self-awareness. Why he thinks? Because he knows if you don't behave, if we don't behave, if the companies don't behave, then there is no question of lockdown and its efficiency, because we have to behave. And this behavior is what the first world countries are even learning. Even in the United States, people are not going into lockdown, as you know, because they think that it's a violation of human rights, violation of freedom. So the point here is, it's not the violation of human rights. It's about saving your life as well as the saving others' life. So this is a common maturity. I will not blame anybody, but this is very unfortunate to hear. So these are the economic challenges. These are available across thing. Now, challenges. There were very many types of interventions that the business community or the government, from the side of corporate governance or actual administration, they have thought about the hammer and dance model of infection management. Why? Because they have thought that the basic philosophy of the lockdown was this: if you are into a lockdown, you are pressing the pause button, you're expecting the curve to come down, to flatten, the curve to flatten, then you are buying time, you're getting more time. So you are hitting the curve like a hammer. So you're flattening the curve. So once you flatten the curve, you get more time. And when you get more time, then you get time for the drugs to come. Like remdesivir has come now. Like other drugs have come now. Even Indian made vaccines have come now. And, I would think that it's better that the trial, after all the scientific things are over, the trials should start. Why? Because after you hit the hammer, it flattens. Hammer means the lockdown. With a strong hand, lockdown. It flattens, and then you have time. Again, it has a small curve. Then you hammer it. Then it flattens. This is known as hammer and dance curve. This is the basic fundamental ideology of lockdown, and even the corporate world have agreed to it, because it was, we had thought about of a lockdown for 2-3 months. Even the Prime Minister had said that please do not terminate your employees for the next 1 or 2 months. Why? Because even the corporate had agreed to that. Why? Because they have understood this model. But the problem is that numbers can't give you the answers. The problem is that there are other socio-economic problems which had to be taken care of, which was not considered. Maybe it was missed out. Now they're considering it. You talk about any other incidents which have happened. I will not talk about special events, but there are cultural events which had happened during the lockdown that had caused a big violation. There are religious events which had happened which had caused big violation. There are economic events, the migration of laborers. This was a very, very big threat to the lockdown. So the lockdown was, kind of betrayed by all kinds of socio-cultural, economic problems. That's why I called the topic socio-economic challenges. So it's not only a businessman comes and gives you an idea and tells you to make a startup. It will not happen. Why? Because business is a part of society. So, you cannot go beyond the society, and you cannot think that you can do anything without the people who are not your stakeholders. So I'll come to that. So here we have talked about the various shaped curves, which are, recovery curves, economic recovery curves. My friends who are economists, sorry, they would understand these curves. Now we have a V-shaped curve. No, why? We have a V-shaped curve where, the x-axis is your, maybe the, GDP and all, and this is the, the y-axis is a GDP, and the x-axis is your time. So if you have a vaccine now, very well done. The economy has come down. Against state, it will go up. But this is not the fact. Then we come to the U-shaped curve. Had the drugs come in with 6-7 months time? Still not yet. Okay, so leave it. Then we come to the W curve. W curve is curve which talks about, pharmaceutical companies giving you drugs which may give you some kind of support. Hydrochloroquine was one, but now WHO has said that there may be problems, but there are also counter arguments of ICMR that this is good. So, these things are always going on. Remdesivir has come. These are not vaccines, but they might help to, improve the infection level, to check the infection level. Hence, the economy might come up. Then it might not work. They come down. So it's a W-shaped curve. Now there are other curves which are, mostly L-shaped curves and the swish curve. So, however, the business leaders and economists have mostly believed that during times of urgency and pandemics. By the way, this is not the first pandemic or crisis that we are facing. There was the Spanish flu was there. Other pandemics were there in the last century. There were World War I, World War II. We had all these kinds of economic problems. So we can learn from what was there. So it's not something alien that we can understand. Okay. So these are the probable curves which are most important. So the interventions leads us to think that with this kind of interventions, how we should plan for the post-COVID era. What is the time frame? Come on, it's very difficult to say. That the time frame is totally dependent upon how quickly you bring a vaccine, bring a drug. But the point is how quickly you make people aware that you have to wear a mask when you go out of your house. This is a basic thing. I know in metropolitan cities and many cities, people are feeling ashamed of wearing masks. This is outrageous. This is funny and dangerous. And how should we plan? How should we plan? And there are many theories. So let's start with this. Now, let's talk about the intervention. So before we intervene, you have to understand that there is shortage of money. There's a problem of profit, cash flow, supply chain, exports, profitability, all are in mess. Okay. Now the problem here is that due to sudden change of what I said, certain change of your tools of marketing and the concepts of marketing, things have changed. Your basic need, I'm now talking to people who are not from management background. You have a need, you have a want, and you have demand. Now, if you need something, and you go and find a specific thing that's your want, you have demand, you have the money to buy, you have the economic, you are economic buyer, economic agent as the buyer, but still you can't utilize the money. So, economics says that until and unless you buy, you are not a customer. There's a problem. I have money. I don't want to go to a restaurant. I don't want to bring the food from restaurant. So apparently, in the economy, there's a problem of demand. So let's do not hide this problem of demand. We have the money, but we don't want to spend it. So there are other things like customer, user, consumer, user, and customer. I am consuming many things. I'm using many things. But yes, as because there's apparently the money is not spent in the market, then apparently there is no customer apparently to any company. So there's a problem. So it's a scenario which is not real, but it is existing. Now, stakeholders, there are many stakeholders. A company has stakeholders. Suppose I am a customer and you are a company. So my risk on your company is the quality of your product. And suddenly what happens is that COVID comes. I am not interested about the product. You're gone. So you have lost potential relevant customers as your stakeholders. That's the problem. And the problem is that not only the companies realize it, the company don't understand what's happening because it's so sudden. The attack is so sudden. Okay. Now, Scumpeter was one of the economists in 1920s, 30s, and he has seen a World War I. And he said that at that point of time, there was also scarcity because World War I. There was scarcity. The government has spent all its resources. So, as a very renowned economist, Scumpeter has urged the public and the business community to come up as new entrepreneurs. Now, in case of COVID, when the product pattern has changed, I am not bothered. I know this is my mobile. I know my mobile, how it works. I know my mobile, what's the characteristics. I know everything about this mobile because I've searched it. But now if I want to buy this mobile, I am not that bothered about how the mobile works. I am bothered about whether it's well packaged, well sanitized or not. the focus have changed. The focus have really changed. So when there's a change in the focus, there's a need of entrepreneurship. Now I'm teaching entrepreneurship in my university for the last 9-10 years, and what I find is that such a challenging subject. You talk about enterprise, that's why entrepreneurship is a process. It's a process. It's not a person. The process which undertakes two things: the enterprise, the technology, the capital, the land, the capital assets, which is there. The technology is there now in COVID, but entrepreneurs, the personality, the person, how am I as a business person? Am I thinking about the cost? Okay, then I will throw away my employees. That's the personality. Am I Azim Premji or his son? The recent statement he has made that we will not terminate any employees due to COVID. So that's a personality. I am an entrepreneur. So, when the mindset changes, automatically your entrepreneurship process changes. So it's not about management. It's about your ethos, your ethics, the way you handle things. Now here, we talk about, supply. Supply chain is a problem. Supply chain, you call it supply chain, you call it value chain, whatever. It's a flow. It's a flow from supply side to the demand side, right? It's a peculiar flow. And when there's a flow, there's always a counter flow. So, especially in the case of raw materials, especially in the case of your manufacturing industry, you see, your materials go from one stage to another, and value is added, and these are very elementary stuff. Okay, but here suddenly you see there is no raw material, so there is an imbalance. So suddenly you see that your customers are not buying your products. There's an imbalance. So supply chain imbalance is very important in a crisis situation. Sorry, not important. It's an indicator. Why it's an indicator? Because it indicates how things have to be juggled, how things have to be placed. It's like, see, these are basically a supply chain is an arrangement of stakeholders according to the particular business. So I cannot arrange my stake because my stakeholders have run away. Maybe they've run away. Maybe they're not buying. Maybe they're not interested. So all the things have gone haywire. So my supply chain has dropped. So there is no independence and interdependence of the supply chain, which is available. Okay. And yeah, there's always a feedback loop. So even whenever the goods and services flow, there's a counter flow of information. So information management, strategies are very important here, because that creates and that tries to change the way you think about a product. Now, I was talking to what I said about I was talking to Ajay Chaudhary, sir, last month. He is a Padma Bhushan and a co-founder of HCL. And, we had a forum and we were talking. So I had asked him something. Then I asked him, sir, why I'm sharing, because a person of that stature has given something very important to us. So I want to share with you. He said that's okay. There is shortage of money, profit issues, cash flows, supply chain, exports suffer, profitability, everything gone. But be very careful with freelance professionals. Those we call the gig professionals. Maybe I am working as a faculty, or maybe you're working as a industry specialist. But due to COVID, some senior employee has lost the job. And the senior employee from another company with similar portfolio has lost the job. And that person is so much expertised. That person is hired by 5 companies and he or she is doing 5 projects under one roof. So who is more viable? So your job is at threat. So what Ajay sir has said, be very careful with gig professionals and gig economy. People are there who are freelancers, they're roaming about like free radicals, and they have a real threat. I won't say threat, like what he said, he haven't said threat. He said that they are a new way of looking into industry. So you do not go and hire me. You hire me so that I do a particular job, and I am not bothered. My company is not bothered about me doing other 5 companies' job. So who is the profitable person? I am the person who is hired. Again, then he talked about the question of building a new business plan, B plan, and the question of building a business model. But what Ajay sir has said, according to the discussion, is that he said that one has to be more concerned about the hygiene needs of the stakeholder as well as the employees, because in future, the more hygiene your company is, the more marketable, the more sellable your company would be. So I think personally, I feel that very pertinent and relevant point that sir has mentioned. Okay. Then I picked up then some else things was also discussed, where the question about working from home and working from anywhere, once the companies would streamline, like for example, we are into academics, we were working from home, but now the thing has come, like we are called to the departments and we work from there, but there is nobody around, and we are habituated in doing that. So why? Because things have to come to normal, and we have to be flexible enough to understand that. Then MNCs, concept of MNC, I would come to this. The concept of globalization has been a bit hampered here. Globalization is, as what I think my previous speaker was saying, very pertinent points. Globalization, the basic thing of globalization is the free movement of goods and ideas and information. But the problem is that somewhere it has been stuck. So, you have to go for not localization. You have to go for localized excellence, localized profit, because now your free transit and free flights are not available. What you can do, you can take ideas, like we are talking on online. So we are sharing ideas. We are not sharing goods, but these ideas are a part of a sellable commodity. So yes, local things, localization has been more important, at least for this phase. Okay. Now, learnability and innovations, basically we need to innovate. We need to, that's what I said about Scrum Peter. We have to understand that the time has come to innovate, but innovate with specific constraints. Then we come to business, EQ means emotional intelligence quotient, empathy, and cultural intelligence, which was given by Harvard Business Review in 2008, that you have to have a CQ, or CQ, which has to be taken care of.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Ghosh, for enlightening us with this current session. Okay, we received few questions from the audience. Our participants have provided some thought-provoking question. I have the first question I'm putting in front of you. Do you think sustainability development is to be redefined?
Basically, yes, because what I said in my lecture is that sustainability, which was a traditional concept of balancing, having a triple bottom line of social and planet and profit, has to take a new set of turn, where they have to think about how to manage this infectious disease and how to make companies more safer and hygienic and more acceptable by the market.
Okay. Our next question, in a post-COVID world, which is most important for a company for developing a sustainable future? Is it a market share, value, profitability, or the price?
See, I won't say that something is better than another. I would say that the goodwill and value is more important now, because if I have the goodwill, we have learned in our basic economics, I think, wealth maximization, profit maximization, all these things are there. But, if I lose my goodwill, it's all about goodwill management. Then I think we have lost the game.
Okay. So another question, very interesting one. How companies protect the safety needs of the customer? Or how is it possible to remove the fear factor which happened due to the spread of COVID-19 in India?
What I said, maybe more awareness campaign, maybe more advertisements which should come, that the company is really following the methods of safety, and really are caring about the customers, and really are caring about the location of the buying process. So these are the things which has to be taken care of, and the product and how it could be reached in a safer way. That's I think the buzzword nowadays.
Okay. So another question, how can employers manage their employees in such a situation?
That's a very difficult question, right? So now, yeah. So
maybe, sir, we want to ask you this in that way. Maybe we need a competent leadership to manage this situation, because some companies are enhancing their pay packet of some of the employees.
What I said just now about Wipro, about this company, with the thought leaders, if they are very, very, empathizing with their employees, then there's no question about a thought of leaving the company. If they are more concerned about them, then there's no scope, because that's why entrepreneurship depends on the person. So, maybe entrepreneurship, maybe a particular business, they have to change their strategies, basically.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Dr. Ghosh, for your enlightening us with this thought-provoking issue of socio-economic intervention in a post-COVID scenario. Thanks a lot. We received so many questions. In the due course of time, and we will forward you the question in your mail, so that once the reply we receive from your end, you can forward it to the participants in their WhatsApp group. And now I am invite our respected Father Vice Principal, Commerce Evening, Reverend Father Peter Arokiam, to deliver the vote of thanks to the participants and the dignitaries. Father.
Reverend Fathers, Principal, Vice Principal, respected professors, and the speakers of the day, and my dear students and participants, a very good evening to all of you. This pandemic has shaken up the status quo and exposed a lot of our country's deep-seated problems, from massive economic inequality to ongoing political, geographical, and social disparities, even to a lack of basic health care for all who need it. It has woken us up to the fact that the old ways of thinking or doing things just do not work anymore. That it does not matter how much money you have or you make, if people around us are hungry and sick still, and that our society and our democracy only work when we think not just about ourselves, but about each other. This situation has also given us the realization that how we have been so far sucked into the world of fast food. We have become increasingly impatient. When we go for breakfast, we want instant coffee. When we have a headache, we want instant relief. When we email our friends, we want instant replies. When we fall in love, we want instant pleasure. When we have problems, we want instant solutions. Even when we pray, we want instant miracles. But this pandemic situation has taught us to be patient, to believe in the law of graduality. We used to think that we were in charge and we know on what we are doing. But now it turns out that we do not have all the answers, and even a lot of us aren't even asking the right questions due to various reasons in the existing system. So therefore, if we or the world is going to be a better place, it has to do with you and me. So therefore, we shouldn't be afraid, because this world has gone through tougher times even earlier, including war, pandemics, disease, economic recession. And each time we have bounced back more stronger. Thus, we need to learn from the past mistakes and figure it out how to make things better. And for this, we just need to go to ground ourselves in the values that would last in our lives, like honesty, hard work, fairness, generosity, responsibility, and respect for one another. I'm so humbled to take this opportunity to thank Reverend Father Dominic Savio for his constant encouragement and thought-provoking keynote address yesterday, and Reverend Father Joseph for his support and his words of gratitude. Today's speakers, Dr. Monomita Nandi, thanking her for her enriching session with optimistic approach and the importance of research and development, and with the role of the research scholars. Also special thanks to Dr. Anupam Ghosh for his sharing on socio-economic challenges and interventions in this situation, how that would help the future management levels in economics and marketing. I also thank yesterday's speakers, Dr. Raj Agrawal and Dr. Santosh Kumar Dev, for their inspiring words, wherein Raj stressed the need of spirituality to be included to deal with this complex situation. And the next speaker, Santosh Kumar Dev, stressing that we need to re-emphasize the re-emergence of the local tourism for a sustainability in the tourism world. A special thanks and congratulations to the pillars of the postgraduate department, starting with Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Basu, Dr. Sumanda Datto, and Professor Ankita Samanta. In a short time, when I had requested Professor Sanjeev Kumar Basu, the Dean of PG Commerce, was able to organize this webinar in a more successful way. Thank you very much, sir. Also, a very special thanks to my dear students, especially Anurag Sharma, Abubakar Mohammed, Devangana Ray, Shaurya Chakravarti, and Shahil Rampal, and also to all my dear Can you hear?
Yes, Father, you're audible.
No, when I read, were you able to hear?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Father. Audible.
Okay. Tell me.
Father, it is audible. We can hear you.
Oh, you want me to read again? You want me to say again? I finished already. Oh, I'm not able to understand what it is. Hello?
Father, you can continue.
Father, actually, your video got stuck towards the end.
Towards the end, when? Where was it? I couldn't
Father, you were
exact.
thanking the students.
Okay.
You took the names of the students. I think after that, it got stuck.
Okay, that was almost over.
Okay, the YouTube is stopped, huh?
Sir, YouTube, the live is going on still now.
Okay, that's why then you can continue, okay?
Father,
you continue.
Father, you may continue. Sir, I think there is some network issue.
Okay, so you continue. You continue.
Okay. I would like to sincerely thank our principal, Reverend Dr. Dominic Savio, Vice Principal Morning, Reverend Father Joseph Kulandai, and Vice Principal BCom Evening, MCom and BMS, Reverend Father Peter Orokiam, for their constant support and encouragement throughout the webinar. They were present while we were doing the preparation for the webinar. So thank you, fathers, for your constant support and encouragement. And also I would like to thank Father Orokiam for his thought-provoking message today. And of course, thank you, dear participants, for your active participation in this webinar. We would like to inform you that we would need some time for the preparation of the certificates. So hopefully within 15 days from today, you will be receiving the certificates of participation in your respective email IDs. Thank you, everyone. Please take care, stay safe. Thank you.